Hello, friends. Of course, we know that there is a global war on humanity going on right now. It's been going on for a very long time, but it's only now becoming so obvious that people all over are waking up to it. Never mind on the physical level, we've been subjected to psychological abuse and manipulation for so many generations, we hardly have our own minds anymore. We saw this with COVID, which, as we know, was a test run to see how people would respond to a crackdown on our freedoms. The truth is that we have lived under a massive, powerful, and highly sophisticated control grid for a very, very long time. This is way above governments. Wasn't it freaky the way they all responded exactly the same way to COVID? I think that let the cat out of the bag in many ways. But it looks to me like their plans are so well advanced that they don't care if we know anymore. If we're brutally honest, there is no hope, absolutely no chance of defeating them. They have planned too well, used tactics too calculated, been too devious over too long a time for us to even comprehend. Not to mention that most of our minds are captured, which makes it almost impossible for people to see what's happening. Is there anything we can do? If we have any chance of winning this, we have to open our minds. We have to allow new ideas and concepts in that we've been brainwashed to poo-poo. Because this is our only chance to win this war. And if we do it properly, humanity can break free for once and for all and live in paradise, as prophesied in so many ancient texts. But I think we've got to do our part. Then we'll end this repeating cycle of societal collapse after collapse, the cycle of trauma and abuse we've been living under for so long. Okay, here's the shocker. Are you ready? Although this war is run by governments and people throughout the world, the boss behind it all is actually an anti-human force from another plane. What? Am I nuts? Before you click off, please give me a chance. Unless you have a plan up your sleeve to defeat a robotic police force, directed energy weapons, brain entrainment frequencies, and whatever other horrors they are dreaming up for us. This is stuff that the religions of the world have been trying to tell us for centuries. We haven't got it because they used terms that to us sound like religious gobbledygook, but made sense to people in those days. Moses and the directed energy weapon bush just wouldn't have the same impact then. But if we use our modern understanding of science, particularly quantum physics, it starts to make sense. And it's pretty important we get this. So here's a very quick overview. Okay, to start with, human beings can see hardly anything. We can only see something like 0.005% of the light spectrum, which itself is only a fraction of a percentage of the electromagnetic spectrum. Things like radio waves, microwaves, X-rays that we know exist but cannot see. And there are other even larger bands of matter outside these spectrums too. So when people say something can't be real because we can't see it, it's because we can't see very much at all. So this anti-human force operates on a different frequency band to ours. Think of a TV station where one channel is broadcasting sports and another soapies. Just because we're tuned into the rugby doesn't mean the soapy isn't playing, it's just that we're not on that channel. So if we call our channel third dimension frequency, this force operates on the fourth dimension. You can think of this 4D as less dense. So if we could see someone or something from that plane, it would appear ghost-like. You can also think of this force as an artificial intelligence. Aha! It has no emotions or empathy, no soul, and no creativity of its own. It's not alive in the sense that we know it, but like a robot needs a power source, it also needs fuel. It doesn't eat food for fuel like we do. If you think of food in terms of an energy frequency, ours is dense to fit in with our third dimension. Their fuel is also an energy frequency. That energy frequency is negative human emotions. This may sound ridiculous, but we know emotions have an energy. Remember, they are in a different dimension. When we realize that, everything begins to make sense. Because this anti-human force operates in a different dimension, it cannot directly access humanity, just as we cannot directly access the fourth dimension. They need minions in this plane, and this is the global control grid we see. The Force gave these minions power, or gives them power, in exchange for doing their bidding. This has happened over generations. I mean, think of the bloodline families of the global elite. Not all of the people and governments in the global control grid are directly controlled by this force. Most of them don't even know it exists. They're controlled by the ones above, etc., all the way to the top. Now, because this force needs our negative emotions as their food to survive, they need to keep us generating them. They use the humans they control to generate as much of these as possible. And of course they do this in secret, because if they get found out, the game is over. They are terrified of this. They are all about survival, control, and power. Now, just like in the Matrix movie, we are their energy source, like a battery. At least our negative emotions are. Some call this loosh. They employ many tactics to get their food from us. Basically, to make this world an ever-increasingly horrible place to live. And aren't they getting that right? Now, fear is their most delicious food. That's why there's so many strategies to make us afraid. Divide and conquer is another. The more we hate each other and even ourselves, the more they thrive. Anger, of course, too. That's why, to some extent, they don't care about all the information coming out through alternative media channels. Because what does that do? It just makes people more angry, which feeds them more and keeps the truth about them from coming out. Makes sense? We can see another tactic being used on us, and that is to shut down our consciousness. By consciousness, I mean that creative, expanded, right brain awareness, spiritual aspect to us. Everything from vaccines to 5G, alcohol, drugs, chemicals in our water and food, smartphones, they're all designed to close off our awareness of anything other than what we can experience with the five senses. This is to shut us down from remembering who we are. And who are we? We are, to quote a Buddhist monk, sparks of God sprinkled throughout the universe. Or, as the Gnostics said, we are divine sparks. Turns out that this anti-human force is incredibly jealous of that. Because we have this divine spark in us, we are able to create. This force cannot create, it can only imitate. Apparently, even this world is a bad copy, a poor imitation of the beautiful, incredible, and perfect world we should be living in, what the Bible calls a new heaven and a new earth. That is our real birthright. This force has trapped us in this bad copy world to harvest our negative emotions as their energy supply. How then do we defeat this anti-human force? Here are some of my ideas. Now we've bust them, our first line of defense is to starve them of their food. Instead of misery, we create joy. We get on and live our lives to the fullest, as difficult as it is in these times. We focus on the good and take focus off the bad. We become aware of the divine spark within us. As Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within you. Once you know this and feel it inside, as you meditate on this and contemplate it, it will start to change you and even guide you. This is for everyone, Christians and non-Christians. It's got nothing to do with religion. Because once we know who we are, we will stop being victims and yes sir, no sir people. We'll do that from such a state of power that they will crumble. We get to know ourselves, as the words above the ancient mystery temples advise. I'll cover why and how in another video. We unite and conquer instead of their plan to divide and conquer us. Love is powerful beyond comprehension. We become food self-sufficient. Food is a massive weapon of control. Look out for my video on this. I'll be recording it soon. And as we do these things, we'll be starving them and ripping away the curtain that is hiding a very scared little wizard behind it. As we know, it only takes one tiny candle to banish the darkness. We are way more powerful than they are, which is why they're so scared of this truth coming out. It's not like a 50-50 split between good and evil. No, probably more like a 95-5%. It just doesn't seem like that right now. Well, I hope this gave you something to chew on. I'm going to get on with making those other videos for us. I love you all. Please share this message with people you love so we can win this thing. This is Trinity, and I'll see you soon.